Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. Unless you're in the airplane business, you may not be aware of an under-the-radar part of the New Hampshire economy. 300 plus companies in New Hampshire are in the aerospace business, and I was surprised by that. And according to some numbers we got, they're doing pretty well. 630 million in aircraft and aircraft parts export sales from January to July this year, 15% increase from the same period last year. 4.3% of the New Hampshire economy, 24,681 are employed. And they're doing well despite these challenges, which we're going to talk about: supply chain changes, cybersecurity, maintenance, and modernization of aircraft. Now, here are a few of the companies that are scattered across the state that are in this business. I'll go down the list quickly. Safran, SMC, Marmon, Airex, Timken, Tightflex. You can see the communities they're located in. Chai Aerospace, BAE Systems, of course, and GE Aviation, which we know more about. Now, with me to brief us on how so many New Hampshire companies got into this business of aerospace when we're not at Cape Canaveral or Houston or Connecticut, is Randy McKee, Chief Operating Officer of Comstack Industries in Meredith, and Bill Bates, who is Executive Director of the New Hampshire Aerospace and Defense Export Consortium based in Concord. Welcome.
Thank you, Fred.
Bill, how did New Hampshire become an aerospace state?
New Hampshire and Eastern Massachusetts have been connected economically for quite some time in the industry, and there's a lot of defense work that happens in Massachusetts and has been for many decades, and the university system only feeds more and more talent in Eastern Massachusetts because of it. And logically, there's been a spillover effect. And also because of the business climate here in New Hampshire, a lot of companies have chosen to move and to start their businesses in New Hampshire. So it's a spillover effect a little bit to what's going on in the economy in the region.
Yeah, and Randy, what is your company's in Meredith? What do you make for the aerospace industry, and what other products are coming out of New Hampshire for aerospace?
Well, Comstock Industries is a precision parts manufacturer, so we make individual parts based on what's specified or required by the prime manufacturers, OEMs, as they are. In terms of what's coming out of New Hampshire, it runs the entire gambit of what's needed in the aerospace industry. Some of it is more military and defense related. Some of it's more commercial related. It really depends on what's called for and needed in the industry and what makes sense geographically as far as where we're located and where these things are shipping.
And you have good contacts, I understand, in Canada and Farnsworth Air Show over in Great Britain. And those are opportunities as well, I think, for you and the other companies.
They are tremendous opportunities, but that doesn't just happen. The reason for that, of course, is one of the reasons we're here today, which is NADEC, the New Hampshire Aerospace Defense Export Consortium. Without the help of that group and the guidance of Bill Bates, our executive director, these are places that are almost impossible to become a part of or to get into.
Electric aircraft are on the horizon as much as electric cars. Is that something you all talk about?
So eVTOL or electric air vehicles are, the talk is on the rise. And in fact, some of our members have already taken an investment stake in that industry. And there's many others that our members do business with who are also taking investments or maybe already suppliers.
Very quickly, Randy, what's the outlook for this aerospace business right now? Given the pandemic and its effect on it, how's it doing?
Right now, the aerospace industry is strong. It could be a heck of a lot stronger if we could find enough people to help us continue our manufacturing. It's the number one issue that we face right now. It's not a matter of demand. And it's certainly on the military defense side of things. On the commercial side, we're not really involved in it. I know that they're still struggling a bit, but we could be doing a lot more here in the state of New Hampshire if we had the employees.
My thanks to Randy McKee, COO of Comstack Industries in Meredith, and Bill Bates, who is Executive Director of the New Hampshire Aerospace and Defense Export Consortium in Concord. Thank you, guys. And if you missed part of this briefing, you can go to WMUR.com, where it'll be posted later today and all this week.